Welcome to the Hockey Writers Flames Faceoff, a weekly show with our top Calgary Flames writing crew, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From training camp to the playoffs, from draft day to the trade deadline, our team covers everything that happens with the Flaming Sea. So get set, get focused. It's time for the Flames Faceoff. Flames Faceoff.
Hello, everybody. I'm Paul Quinney, and this is the Flames Faceoff, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. Now, this week's show is being brought to you by the Morning Skate. It's a daily newsletter delivered to your inbox Monday to Friday, each and every morning, and it's jam-packed with the best hockey stuff on the planet. It's a daily dose of the latest NHL news, rumors, histories, funnies, quizzes. It's written with a bit of cheek. You'll thoroughly enjoy it. And it's just a little hockey fun and information brought to you every day of the week. And so if you get it at 8 o'clock, you're going to be ahead of everyone else on the hockey news. So you'll see a link to the description. Probably the best, you've got to be a subscriber. So the best way to do that is just Google the Morning Skate from the Hockey Writers and register. So this week we have with us our usual cast of characters, Colton Pankiw and Brett Krauss. Gentlemen, welcome. How are you doing? You all set to go?
Doing well, yeah.
All right, we've got a lot to talk about this week, so let's get right to it. But before we do, let's do one good, one bad from the week, and I'm going to start. My good, I'm going to name Matthew Tkachuk. For his five assists in the game against the St. Louis Blues on Monday night. And he's only the 11th player in Flames history to do that. And my one bad from the week is Matthew Tkachuk for notching those 5 assists against the Blues Monday night. I don't know how he could lay that kind of beating on his hometown in St. Louis. To make matters worse, he was gloating about it in Calgary. I don't know whether we should tell his mother or not, and I have no idea what his father, Keith, a St. Louis Blues icon, is going to say to his buddies down at the golf club or the curling club or wherever he hangs out. So that's from me, my good and my bad for the week. Colton, what do you got?
For my good, I'll do Johnny Gaudreau. He's just obviously been red hot lately. He's on a point pace now for well over 100 at this point. Had the overtime winner last night. And then for my bad, I'll do Daryl Sutter. I don't like that. Markstrom's been really good this season. He's continuing to play good, but I don't love that they started him on back-to-back games. I worry about later in the season just running him down. So I'd like to see Vladar maybe get some more starts moving forward.
All right. Shame on you, Daryl. I hope you're listening and take heed of Colton's advice. Brett, what do you got? You're good and you're bad.
I think for my goods, I'm going to give it to the team as a whole for those 2 games there against St. Louis and Columbus. They basically made those teams look like AHL teams and, set a franchise record for shots in a game. And I think they said the last time a team had that many shots in regulation was the 80s or something. So, it was kind of cool to see. And for my bad, I'm in the same boat as Colton. I was, kind of expecting them to put Vladar in. And, I kind of wasn't a huge fan of Sutter's comments saying, that, well, he was right that, it's been a little inconsistent with postponements and Markstrom needs to play games. But then he also kind of alluded to that Vladar hadn't played in a month. And, I kind of thought, well, that's not going to change until you put him in net. So, I think that's not sure if they would have won that game. I think they were a little flat, but I think Vladar could have definitely given them a chance had he started that game.
Yeah, hey, that's a good point. With Vladar, it's like blaming the victim there on Sutter's part. I mean, he controls the games. But I just wanted to touch Colton. You mentioned Gaudreau on track for over 100 points, well over 100 points. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So, how far over 100 are you calling it?
Oh, geez. I mean, he's on an absolute tear right now. I do think he gets to 100, assuming everything goes right with the schedule and they're able to play all 82, which I'd be shocked if not.
Yeah.
I'll put him at about the 105 mark. I think he's going to get it for the first time in his career.
All right. We're going to come back to that at the end of the season. Check it out. Well, let's talk about the week in review. So the Flames had 3 wins and 1 loss. Not a bad week by any standard, but you know what? I'm going to complain anyway here. I guess my first question is which team is the real Calgary Flames? And what I'm referring here to is, we saw them win 7-1 on Monday night against the St. Louis Blues. And then Thursday night, they lost 5-1. So, wins against Columbus and Vancouver. I'm not going to give them too much credit for. I'd be shocked if they hadn't won it. So, I think Thursday night, it shows what happens when the other team is rested. The Flames or the Blues weren't Monday, and they key on that top line of the Flames. You combine that with secondary scoring, the second, third, and fourth lines of the Flames taking a break that night, and this is what you get. So I guess that's a long-winded way of asking which team is the real Calgary Flames here, the one on Monday night or the one on Thursday? Colton, what do you think?
I think somewhere in the middle. I don't think they're a team that's ever going to run over teams like we've seen this past week. I think kind of the Vancouver game yesterday is a good example of where they play well defensively and are able to get a couple goals. Obviously, 1-0 is not going to happen every time, but I think they showed, especially at the beginning of the year, that they're a really good defensive team that can score timely goals. I'd still like to see a bit more offense added to their lineup, but yeah, I think they're somewhere in the middle. I think they're a step below the elite teams, but I think they're still a pretty good team that should be definitely in the playoff by the end of the season.
Yeah. Well, Brett, I don't know, to quote Milan Lucic, Monday night, Dr. Jekyll showed up, and Thursday night, Mr. Hyde showed up in all his ugly glory. So which do you think's the real team here?
I think it's definitely in the middle somewhere, because those 2 games were kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. You had St. Louis coming in on the end of a road trip tired, and Calgary thumped them, and then you have Calgary going into St. Louis, and I will say probably not as long as a road trip I think that St. Louis was on, but they flew out to Columbus, played a game, fly out that night into St. Louis. A good team from where they're set in the standings right now.
Yeah. I think, Colin, you mentioned scoring, and as did I, the secondary scoring, the absence thereof actually on Thursday. So let's take a look at what Brad Treliving can do about it. I mean, if he can't trade for some offensive power, which apparently I doubt that's going to happen at this point. It may be at the trade deadline, but one option is turning to talent from Stockton. What do you think he can do?
Yeah, like you said, I think there is a chance closer to the deadline that he looks to make moves. I don't think just yet, but I personally would really like to see some of the younger guys get some opportunities. I think Greg had an article about Matthew Phillips getting a call up. I'd really like to see him up there. So he'd be my top guy, and then Ruzicka and just some other guys getting some more playing time. Maybe Glenn Godin too. There's a few guys that I think just in that bottom 6 right now for the Flames aren't really pulling their own weight as much as they could, and I think there's some younger guys that have higher offensive upside.
Yeah, Brad, what are you thinking? I mean, I suppose a trade's possible, but what could you do now? Who would you bring up from Stockton?
Yeah, I think kind of the only realistic option is Matthew Phillips right now. I know Jacob Pelche has gone through a bit of a dry spell kind of these last couple of games. And I know, Sutter was already kind of saying that he's pretty young, like only 20 years old, which he is, even though he's doing well. I think Sutter kind of alluded to he's got a lot to learn still at the pro game, and which is true. He's only been playing professional hockey for 4 months now. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, there's all kinds of people, wanting to see this or that player brought up from Stockton. But what are your thoughts on Ruzicka? Just to touch on that quickly. How's he look to you, Colton?
I've been pretty impressed. I mean, there's still room for his game to grow. But I think at the end, like, he's a big player that I think can put up offense. Like, I think in a couple of years, he could be a really important player for them. So I wouldn't mind seeing him get into more games. And then when he does get a bit more playing time, just, I think, like I said, there's still some areas to improve on, but the overall talent level is there. And I think just with his size and everything, he could be a huge player for them in a couple of years.
Yeah, he's a big guy. I was watching him last night. I didn't realize how big he was, but yeah. Let's get to the shootout rounds. I want to start off with this. Is the St. Louis Blues Justin Faulk in the running for the Bob and Doug McKenzie Hoser of the Year award? I don't know if Faulk would know what a hoser was, but we all do, being a good Canadian boys that we are.
Yes.
Prior to arriving in Calgary, he said, referencing the Great White North's COVID-19 restrictions, "I'm not looking forward to going to Canada one bit, but we'll play some hockey games and get it over with and then come back." I mean, it just seems to be that things are going a little differently up there than they are here in the United States. I like where we're at in this country. Go figure. So we'll go with that. And after that smackdown, the Blues got, the Calgary Flames Twitter account responded saying, quote, "We see why the Blues wanted to get out of Canada quickly." Brett, what's your take? The biggest hoser of the year award for Mr. Faulk?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see where he's coming from, but it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like, you didn't really have to mention it. Like, everybody knows the States is a lot different than Canada is right now. And, kind of funny that he's saying it coming into like Alberta here, because I would say we have kind of the softest restrictions for the most part. So, but I mean, like we're all getting tired of restrictions. We all want this to be over with. So it's like just one of those things where you're kind of like, did you really have to say that? And then you just go out and get beat 7-1, and then the Flames Twitter account just alley-oop dunks on you. So yeah, just kind of that's a tough look for him. So definitely, I'll give him the hoser award on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a fake Twitter account from Johnny Gaudreau, and he said, "Well, I didn't hear what he said because I couldn't hear him from all the goal horns going off." I think there was an expletive in there at some point. I know Johnny would
probably
that way. Yeah. Colton, your thoughts? Are you going to put him in the running for Hoser of the Year award?
Yeah, I mean, without getting into like the whole politics area of it too much, I was kind of surprised, but at the same time, it's kind of fun when guys, I think, voice their opinions, or just we're used to like the robotic answers from hockey players. So I think you've seen it with Markstrom lately too, saying different things, and I think it kind of creates a bit more fan engagement. And then obviously, like you said, the Flames Twitter account got to get in on it after. So even though I don't agree with what he's saying, but I do think it's kind of interesting to hear guys sometimes voice their opinions, and I think it can make it more fun for the fans.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, here I am complaining, but I also complain about how kind of beige milquetoast players are when it comes to giving interviews. Most of them are as controversial as a glass of warm milk. But
exactly, gives us something to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's move on here. Does Tyler Myers deserve to be disciplined beyond the match penalty that he got for elbowing Trevor Lewis in the head? Colton, I'm going to turn to you on that one. What are your thoughts? Is he going to get more? Does he deserve more?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know his history, so that obviously plays into it too. But yeah, I didn't like the hit, and I think probably get a game or even a couple games for it. I just thought it was not necessary. There was a different way he could have went about that. So yeah, I think he could get a game or two for it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Brett, you're thinking on that one?
Yeah, probably like a 1 or 2 game. I was kind of thinking. I mean, yeah, Lewis, I believe it was Trevor Lewis, kind of gave him the face wash there, and you could totally see in the clip it's very retaliatory behavior from Myers there. And I mean, maybe it's hard to kind of tell, but basically from every camera angle, it looked like he pinned Lewis's face right against the glass. So. Yeah, I think I haven't heard anything if he has a hearing or not, but yeah, I would say probably at least 1 game for sure. Just kind of a no on that one.
I think just looking at social media right now, it doesn't look like there's any discipline on it. But like Brett said, I kind of thought there would be maybe a game for it as well.
Yeah, well, we're going to see. I don't know. He must have to go to New York at some point, or do they meet that discipline out over the phone? Not sure. This is the Flames Face-Off, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. And don't forget to sign up for the Hockey Writers morning skate at morningskate.io so you don't miss the best hockey newsletter on the planet, if I do say so myself as a Hockey Writers writer. And it's delivered every weekday to your inbox at 8 a.m. sharp. And be the first to know what's happening in the world of hockey. So I wanted to continue on here. JT Miller apparently is up for sale by the Vancouver Canucks. What are your thoughts, Colton? Should the Flames make a play for him?
He's a really good player, really underrated player. I think since he's went to Vancouver, his game's really picked up. I think there's going to be a lot of teams in on him, and it'll be a heavy price to pay. So I think it just depends if Treliving sees fit to give up a big piece this season, I guess, if whether or not he wants to go all in. From my perspective, I think with this core and Gaudreau in the final year of his contract, to at least kick the tires and kind of see what the market is on him. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that they could add some more scoring, so he would definitely help in that department.
Yeah. Hey, Brad, I'm interested in your thoughts on that one. I mean, there's a lot of stuff been written and said about the Flames acquiring guys like Chychrun and defensemen, but should they be focusing on guys like Miller, to add to that secondary scoring? Where's the priority for Treliving in your view?
Yeah, I think it definitely has to be a big trade for a high impact, high status forward in the league. I think if anything, if you're going to change the defense, the only thing I would probably change right now is flipping a good Branson out for somebody else, because I know they've been linked to Ben Chiarot, which I don't really see the fit there other than just having extra defensemen. But yeah, I think a guy like JT Miller, and I believe they said Connor Garland was out there too, who's also a right shot. I think a guy they could slot in on the second line, get with like a Mangiapane or a Monahan on the second line, because then you can kind of take a little bit of pressure off Backlund and Coleman to play a little bit more defensively. They don't have to worry so much about trying to create offense as well. And that's kind of how I saw Tampa Bay set up with Blake Coleman's line. They were kind of the third line, and while they did chip in offense, they were, very good defensively as well, which allowed the other two lines to really score. So, I think either a center or a winger for that second line, or even someone to slot in on the first line too, if you were to maybe move out a Lindholm or mix and match kind of thing. I think that's definitely the priority in my eyes.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said on this show, actually, they should be focusing on Chiarot from Montreal. Colton, what do you think of him if you can't get JT Miller?
I think there's better options out there. Just it sounds like the price for Chiarot is like quite high for, I think, what he provides. There's not really a lot of offense to his game. I think he can play around 18 to 20 minutes a night, but like it sounds like a first round pick plus some is kind of what they're looking for right now, which if that's the case, I think there's plenty of better options out there. The thing I was going to say too about Miller that I'd really like is the fact that he's not just a rental, like he still has the 1 extra year on his contract. So
That's right.
even if they lose out early this year, whatever, it's worth, I think, giving up more than a guy that could just walk in the offseason. So I think just from that perspective alone, he's pretty interesting.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Colton. Well, actually, Brett's going to put you on the spot. Now, Colton, you said you wrote an article. I think it's your latest. Calgary Flames top 3 players through the midway point of the season, and you named Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, and Jacob Markstrom. Brett, is he right? Are those the top 3, or should anyone else be on that list?
Yeah, I think for sure Gaudreau and Tkachuk have to be on that list. I think I personally wrote an article that said Gaudreau was going to get to the 100-point mark this season, and he's definitely looking on pace for it. And, Matthew Tkachuk has almost looked like another player out there this year. He's just been so good and playing such good hockey on that line, and like put up a 5-assist night the other night. I think Markstrom, I for sure would have in there. I think he's definitely, what the Flames wanted when they signed him to that big contract. I think kind of just looking anywhere else, you could probably argue Mangiapane or Shillington, for both having really good seasons. So no, I think Colton was pretty much bang on with those picks.
All right, Colton's heaving a sigh of relief there. He thought you were going to come at him with an accusation of journalistic malpractice.
Not today.
I'm not going to touch that one. You're saying there's other days he's guilty of that, but not
This one.
Okay. Wanted to touch on whether the Flames are at a turning point. And the reason I'm asking is that the next 20 games will see them play 14 at home. And then in the remaining 43 games, they play 27. That's almost 2/3 are at home. And they don't play any more games in the Eastern Conference. They're playing Eastern Conference teams, but not out East. So is this an opportunity in your view for them to cement a playoff spot, or will their packed schedule to make up for postponed games be too much for them? Sutter's saying it'll all be decided in February, March. Is there that much drama here, Colton?
I don't think it'll be easy. Obviously, there's a lot of games, but at the same time, I don't think any club that Daryl Sutter coaches is going to make any excuses. So I think he'll have them ready, and I'm not worried about it. I think just a bunch of games at home too. I think they'll come out on top. And like I said, I'd be pretty surprised if they didn't make a playoff spot. So I think they've really turned things around the last couple of weeks here, and I think that'll keep going.
Yeah. Brett, your thoughts here? Have they got a chance to really make up ground? They're going to be playing against a lot of their teams in their own division here.
Yeah, I think right now, I haven't looked too closely at the schedule, but it's going to be big for these Pacific Division matchups, especially against, LA, San Jose, and Vegas right now, because I think they have 5 to 7 games in hand on all those teams. So, if they are playing those teams here in the next couple of weeks, like I would circle those as must wins. And it's going to be huge to, I think, be playing most games at home, especially if you're getting back-to-backs at home. It's a lot easier to, finish the game and drive 20 minutes home and then get up for the next day. And hopefully Sutter decides to play Vladar a little bit more in those back-to-backs. But yeah, I think February is going to be, it'll be an important one for these guys for sure, especially as they're making up those postponed games and kind of getting back into, catching up with all the other teams in terms of games played.
Yeah. Well, Flames fans will be happy because they're going to get to see him a lot in the next couple of months. So, well, thank you, gentlemen. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but that was a great discussion as usual. And I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. Now, before you go, just in case we haven't convinced you to sign up with our first two plugs to sign up for the morning skate. If you sign up for the morning skate newsletter, you'll get to relive some of Wes McCauley's most legendary moments in the NHL. You got to check that out. Check him out on YouTube. I did that last week, and he's a hoot. It's the kind of content that puts a smile on your face. So join the fun at morningskate.io, and we'll see you in 7 days. Thanks very much.